Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be a fun, quick little video for the second channel. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, but it popped in my head and I thought that might be interesting. We're going to see what one of these things is worth for scrap. What this is a 1970s voltage regulator. I'm thinking it's probably off of a Toyota because I found a bunch of Toyota parts in the same box that this was in. I could be off on that though, but I found some similar to it, and on eBay in better condition than this, they're selling for about $25 free shipping. So I figured this one here is just scrap. I was going to toss it in the iron pile, but I saw it's got this copper on it, and I thought, you know what? Let's just see what one of these things would scrap out for. I've never even considered thinking about that before, but I thought it might make a fun and somewhat interesting video for those that like oddball things. They're pretty simple to take apart. If I remember right, it's been a long time since I've done one of these, but I've got these two screws right here. Let's see here, is my screwdriver too big? It might be. I might have to find a smaller screwdriver. Nope, there we go. Cooperate. It's a little bit too big, but we're gonna make it work. Just like that. Now, obviously, this is probably not the most productive use of my time I could be doing. We're just doing this purely for entertainment and for fun. But you know, if you like to just tinker with stuff like this as a hobby and scrap stuff as a hobby, it's somewhat interesting sometimes to see what this stuff is worth. If you guys enjoy this video, maybe I'll do some more of this type of stuff in the future, just random items, and see what they'll junk out for. There we go. Take that cover off. As you can see, it's got a little bit of copper in there, 2 of them. Now we're going to get a little bit violent and see if we can rip this thing apart to where we can get the copper out of there. There we go. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Just a second. He was wanting to buy a car out of one of my videos. But anyway, let's get back to this thing. Now you see this piece right here. Let me scoot it over. You can see it a little bit better. You see that there on the very end of that little round dot? I believe, pretty sure that is silver coated. It might be all silver. I can't quite tell on this one. I know electrical contacts out of like a house that they have those little dots on them like that. And usually they're square on those, a little bit bigger. But they're not, I shouldn't say solid silver. They're kind of an alloy that's made with silver. This one here, I can't tell if it's an alloy made with silver or if it's just a silver plated piece of copper or brass. I can't imagine they would use actual silver on something as simple as a voltage regulator. But it's a very small amount, so maybe. But regardless, either way, this piece is going to be worth saving. Now, if you really wanted to get every last little tiny fraction of a penny out of it, you would pull just that little circle off by itself. But I don't do that. I used to do a lot of silver bearing copper scrap, I guess is the way of saying it. I can't remember now. It's been a little while. But you actually can kind of see there, it's just got those 2 little rivets on the back side. I will pop that entire piece off. Like so. There we go. As you can see, I say that whole piece. And so you get enough of those, and obviously this is a little tiny one here. Out of industrial electrical equipment, you can get a lot bigger ones. And in the past, I have sweated those off. You just get a torch and you get them warm, and that piece just falls right off. But I actually got into selling them just on the copper, and it brought just as much money in the long run, and I didn't have to do all the extra work. So we will set that aside. Now I've got this piece here. Now this is mostly steel, but that real shiny part right there, I believe, I need to get a magnet. Just a second. Never mind, this one's all steel. Some of those, probably on higher end units, are actually brass or copper. A lot of times it's nickel plated, and so you have to sell it a different grade, but that's all just steel. So we'll toss it in this little container. That's where I'm putting all the scrap. Let's see here. What do we want to do next? I'm going to see if I can get this little, oh, here's another contact right here. I need to save that. There we go. Let's get a pair of pliers. This will make my life a little bit easier. Yeah, doesn't want to break. We'll do this. We'll just break it off like this. Wiggle it back and forth, back and forth. Eventually it'll break. These aren't the right tools to be doing this, but we got it. There you go. Once again, you can see that. Whoops. Bumped my camera. But you can see there on the back side, it is definitely silver plated copper. And so there's not a whole lot of money here, but if you saved every one of those that you had just as a hobby, eventually you'd have a little bit of stuff there. And especially if you get into, like I was saying, the big industrial grade electronics, those have some pretty big chunks on them. But we will set that aside. Now there's one more contact right here. So we can get that off of there. Probably have to do the same thing, twist back and forth, back and forth. There we go. Now this is actually steel here, and so that's not going to be worth as much as if it was silver bearing copper scrap. This is going to be silver bearing steel scrap, but honestly with just these few small pieces like this, I would just mix them in with the rest of it. Wouldn't make that big of a deal. Set that aside. Now we're going to endeavor to get this piece off. This is just a spur of the moment idea I had, so I do not have the right tools for this. I am using all the incorrect tools. If you guys enjoy this, I'll be sure to do it a little bit more efficient the next time. There we go. Yeah, this is not working out like I thought it was going to. Let's see here if I can. There we go. Pull this copper off of here like this. Probably better ways of doing this, like I was saying, but if a guy was to take and just cut that off at the bottom, then this whole roll would have just dropped off without all this extra work. Because if see there how it's just coming out one strand, it's going to take me 75 years to get that off at one strand like this. So yeah, we're not going to do that. Let's see if we can just bust this thing off. I have a little Dremel I bought at home, so the next time we do something like this, I'll be sure to use it. Put a little cut-off blade on it. It would pop this thing right off of there. Okay, so we got a bunch of it off there. Let's get this wadded up and out of my way. This is all copper here. Now this is going to have a coating on it. You can kind of see how it's a weird color like that. It's also going to have a coating on it. So this is not going to be like premium grade copper. When I first moved out on my own when I was 19, I would save all sorts of just random electronic pieces and things like this, and I would take it home and I would sit there, listen to the radio or do whatever. And YouTube wasn't really a thing back then, so I didn't watch YouTube, but just whatever I was doing, I would sit there and do stuff like this, wad it up and save it up. And over the course of a year, I actually had quite a bit of copper and brass and aluminum and things like that saved up. Obviously, I was young, single, lived by myself, so I didn't have anything else to do. But like I say, just as a retired hobby or something to do while you're watching YouTube or whatever, kind of a fun thing. Okay, I got this started again. I think I can get it all off there this time. Well, it started to come off, just a little bit left. Gotta get it started again. I had it going good, and I pulled too hard and broke it. There we go. That's the thing, is this stuff's so thin, if you pull too hard, it'll just snap right off of there. So yeah, there we go. Almost, there we go. Okay, got it all. Now I'm gonna turn around, and I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. This is a little bit more stubborn. Not wanting to cooperate quite as easily. There we go. There we go. Yeah, definitely would be a lot easier if I had just a little Dremel tool, which I do have, but I just don't have it here. That's what I get for not carrying $3 million worth of tools with me everywhere I go. I've got the tools to do just about everything, I just don't always have them with me. But with what I was doing today, there was no reason to have tools with me. This is just kind of a spur of the moment type thing, like I was saying. Sometimes I get into those deals. One little strand coming off of this. Let me see if I can just break that off. There we go. I can get some more of this wafer to break off of this thing. There we go. Anytime you can get a bunch of this stuff coming up at once, the better off you'll be. A little bit of that fiberboard washer on there still. See if I can break this off. There we go. Oh yeah. Now it's coming up there good again. Down to the last little strand of it. Closer and closer. Oh, and by the way, I am timing this to see how long it takes. Obviously, I've had a couple phone calls now, but beyond that, I have been keeping track. There we go. Now, I've got the piece from earlier. I'm actually going to wind all that up in this, just like this. Make one big ball out of all of it. Kind of wad it up a little bit. Twirl it around. Wad it this direction. Twirl it this way. You get it all wound up nice and tight like this. It's kind of like you're making a dough ball, like you're making cookies. Copper cookies. There we go. Wad it up real good. There we go. Bingo. A ball of copper. Next up, we're going to see if this works or not. Maybe, maybe not. I need to check my pliers up one setting. There we go. Okay. Nope. Not enough. What I'm trying to do is it has all this copper wire right here, this insulated copper wire. If I get this plug off of here, now you could just cut it right there, but there's actually going to be some brass or copper contacts inside of this. And so I could just cut it there, but then I'm wasting everything inside of this. I'm going to endeavor to break this plug or get this plug off of all those prongs in there. Let's just do this. I'm going to see if I can pull it apart. Well, that was super, super easy. Here I am trying to break it, and it just pops apart. And see, as you can see, that is now hollow. This is actually just going to be trash here. And now I have all those good prongs right there. Which, looking at them now, I'm pretty sure those are just steel. Let's see here. No, they're not steel. I have never done this before in my life. I know how it's done because I know other people that do this type of stuff, but I myself have never actually done this. I want to see if I can scuff one of these up and see exactly what these are made out of. They're copper or brass. Okay, I can see now it's yellow brass. I've still got this rubber washer right here. I need to get that out of there. Pull it back out of the way. And actually what I need to do is each of those prongs need to come off because this is going to be copper, this is going to be brass. Probably not going to clean these for the copper inside. That's just a little bit too far. And anymore, they pay a good enough price for insulated to where it's just not really worth your time to separate it. But I do need to get these little clamps undone here so I can get these off of this. So I can sell this as insulated copper and these as yellow brass. Okay, so I tried several things. They're not really coming apart, but I'm going to try one more thing real quick. I'm going to see if it'll just kind of squeeze it a little bit right there, like that, and that kind of spreads it apart just a little bit on that deal. I'm going to see if it'll just yank off of there now. Oh yeah, comes right apart. There we go. Now I have a chunk of brass. See if the next one cooperates as easy as that one did. It's a little bit, there it goes, okay. Got to put a little bit of muscle into it. They slide off of there. Oh, that one came off easy. Good thing nobody was beside me. I would have smacked him. That was way easier. There we go. And there we go. All that. And now this rubber washer will slide right off just like that. Next up, I've got that plug right there. You can kind of see it here. I'm going to pull that off. Yeah, I figured it would just come right off. Now that should be brass inside of that. We'll find out real quick. Let me get my actual pocket knife out. I just sharpened this last night, so it should cut this fairly easy. Yeah, it's got a little tiny piece of brass inside it there. There we go. This camera is not in focus at all. I'm just using my phone right now. I don't even have my actual camera. If I do this again, I will get the actual camera out and you'll be able to see way better what I'm doing. Next up, I've got that little metal clamp right there. I need to get that off of the wire. Fold this around so you can see it once again. This piece right here. Just like that. Pull that around. It's got a little rubber deal on here. Pull that off. There we go. Now I should be able just to grab a hold of each of these pieces of wire just like this. Kind of put pressure on it and twist it away and it pops right out of there. Now that's all insulated copper wire. Do that again. And again. One more. Bingo. Now each of those little things that those were in, each of those connectors or whatever you want to call them is brass. Let's see. Oh yeah, peeled right off of there. Now that's all brass. Drop it in my brass pile. Well, that one broke off. That's okay. I think we can get her anyway. Well, maybe not. Can't win them all. Oh yeah, it's coming. See there, it's starting to rip. Oh yeah, we got her. Is that brass? No, yeah, that's brass. There for a second it looked like copper. I don't have my glasses on, so that's part of my problem. I can't see what everything is exactly. There's another one. Just kind of do that right there, and it puts enough leverage on them to pop them right off. Do we have any? Oh, yep, we got 2 more. You can see that kind of that yellow color it's got. That's why it's yellow brass. Some stuff, usually like gas fittings, will be red brass, but most brass that you get is going to be yellow brass in this occupation. So there you see, this is all going to be just a chunk of steel right here. I don't think there's anything else good than this. Just looks like steel. I mean, there's a few little itty bitty pieces of copper left on here, but I mean, not even enough to I mean, it's even less value than the stuff we just got done pulling. If you were really, really, really rambunctious and you were a perfectionist, you could go ahead and pull that last little bit off of there too, but we're not going to do that. And here we go. This is the final result. We've got all this brass right here. Well, there's not a ton there, but you know, there's a little bit. And then I've got the steel. That's steel. All of this is steel. There's the plastic that'll just get thrown away. We've got the silver bearing scrap right there. We've got the clean copper, and then we've got the insulated copper. So I was looking at this copper, and where the clamp was on it, it was split just a tiny bit. So I thought, you know what, it might be able just to rip out of there. If I grab the rubber and the copper and pull them apart, so we're going to see what happens real quick. Grab the rubber with my hand, grab the copper with the pliers. Oh yeah, look at that. That's just peeling right apart. No problem. Well, I guess that was worth cleaning. That was super, super minimal effort. So I guess we'll get some more clean copper out of this deal. You can see there how it's split just a tiny bit. Man, I don't know if I get that to focus on that or not. Yeah, there we go. You can kind of see how it's split right there just a tiny bit. But yeah, you just kind of start it with your fingers. You kind of pull it right through that. Kind of pull it. Get it started. There we go, just like that. And you grab the rubber. Grab the copper. They sell little tools that you can attach to your drill. See, that one there kind of came apart on me. They sell little deals that go on your drill, and you just pull the trigger, and it goes bzzz, and pulls it through and cleans it all. So you're going to turn this, grab a hold of that rubber again. There we go. That's trying. Yeah, there we go. Clean copper. And there we go. It is clean. We will add that to the other copper pile. As you can see, there was way more copper on those 2 pieces inside than there was on that. But it all adds up over time. I have a set of scales at home, so we'll take all this home, we'll weigh it up and see what it all came out to, what it's worth. Now obviously there's not going to be a whole lot of money right here in this one regulator. You would have to do quite a few of these. But the last consignment sale I went to, they had a box that had about 6 or 7 regulators in it, and I believe it had a window wiper motor in it, and I forget what else was in there, but there was a handful of items in that box, and they had to beg somebody to give $1 for the whole box. And so we'll figure out what this one regulator is worth, and we'll just assume there was 5 of them in a box and you were able to get it for $1. Would you be able to make any money? Now for your time, obviously, probably not. But we're talking on hobby terms only. I really want to stress that. We're not talking making a living, supporting a family. We're talking something to do while you're doing nothing else. Everybody has different hobbies. Some people have a hobby of painting. Some people like to build stuff. I never like to build anything. I like to tear stuff apart. Even when I was a little kid, I like to tear stuff apart. And so like I say, when I was first moved out on my own, I would tear stuff apart and just make a little bit of extra money on it. It's a hobby that makes you money instead of cost you money. Yeah, I want to take all this home. We'll weigh it up, see what it comes to. All right, I am home. Let's get all this weighed up. We'll do the steel first. 234 grams. Next up, we'll try the brass. 3 grams. 3 grams. 47 grams. 9 grams. I missed one small piece, and that knocked it up to 10 grams. There we go. I got everything weighed up, and I went online, and I figured out the price of each of these, and I figured just street price. I didn't figure any higher price. Since you're going to be selling small quantities, you won't be able to get the high price anyway. So then I went through and took the price per pound and converted it to the price per gram, because these are all going to be small quantities that we weighed in grams. And then I took the total it came to, and I rounded it to the nearest penny, because that's what the scrapyard does. I guess pretty soon they'll probably start rounding it to the nearest nickel, but for the time being, still it rounds to the nearest penny. So without further ado, the steel at 234 grams, the price per pound is 0.075 cents. And so that comes out to the price per gram of 0.000165, total value of 4 cents. We had 3 grams of yellow brass at a price per pound of $2.50, price per gram of 0.0055 cents. That comes out to a total of 2 cents. We had the clean copper at a price per pound of $3.95, 3 grams of that. The price per gram is 0.0087, comes to a total of 3 cents. We had 47 grams of coated copper at a price of $3.65, or price per gram of 0.008 cents, comes to a total of 38 cents. And then last but definitely not least, we had 10 grams of silver-bearing scrap at a current market value of $50 per pound, and at a price per gram that is 11 cents per gram, comes to a total of $1.10. That comes to a grand total of $1.57 for a vintage voltage regulator. And I did a little bit of extra math. If I had just taken this entire thing and just tossed it in the scrap, it would have been worth about 5 cents. Now, usually what I do with these is I throw them in the dirty electric motors, which are about 30 cents a pound right now. And at that price, it would have brought 21 cents. So by cleaning this, I made an extra $1.36 worth of scrap. Now, how much time did I have invested? You have to figure about half of the time I had invested was spent filming and setting up camera shots, things like that. So you have to subtract that out. But actual time invested in getting the stuff out of this is roughly 10 minutes. If I would have had the right tools and I wasn't trying to make a video and explain what I was doing and everything, just hack and slash, I probably could have got it done in about 5 minutes, maybe even less. But at the 10 minutes invested, if you figure that up by the hour, at $1.57 that I made, it comes out to just under $10 per hour. Obviously, if I did it in half the time, it would be double the price, and so you'd be looking at close to $20 an hour for time invested. And obviously, you're gonna have your time invested in getting the stuff and finding them, bringing them home, all those good things. But if you're gonna be there anyway and you just toss it, you won't have a whole lot of time in that in the long run. And then obviously you're gonna have time invested in selling the stuff as well. So you could probably figure roughly around $10 an hour total is what you're gonna make messing with this. So basically slightly more than minimum wage in Kansas. But like I said at the very beginning, the purpose of this is not to make a living. The purpose of this is entertainment money that you're gonna be doing something else while you're ripping one of these apart. I know a guy that was an electrician, and he would bring home all of his copper scrap and he would clean it while he was watching TV, save it up, sell it once a year. Rather than just sit there and watch the TV and do nothing else, he was actually basically getting paid to watch TV. Not directly, but you know what I'm saying. So if you had a pile of vintage voltage regulators laying there and you're watching Adventures Made from Scratch on YouTube, you could be making money while you're watching me do stuff and make money. And you know, a hobby that pays you $10 an hour to have fun, because it's fun ripping this stuff apart. I enjoy it anyway, and I know a lot of other people do, but if you can get paid to have fun, that's always a win in my book. Lots of people spend money to have fun, so it's going the other direction. So that's the end of this one. Like I say, let me know if you enjoyed this. If you did, we'll do something else. I don't know, we'll pick a random object from out at the junkyard, and I'll probably do at least 1 or 2 more just to kind of judge whether people enjoy watching them, because I enjoy making these. Plus, it was something that's really easy for me to film and edit. A lot of my videos are really difficult to film and edit, and so there's things I just don't record because I'm like, oh, I don't have time for all this. But this one here, not a problem. I love making this type of content. But we'll find a few more random things out at the junkyard and see what they scrap out for. I would love to do a complete car, like start to finish. What is a car worth for scrap? But that would be a massive undertaking. And with all the things that I do, I just don't know that I can commit to that. But we can take some smaller items like voltage regulators and see what they scrap out for. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the next adventure. We've got foraging stuff on this channel. We've got behind the scenes stuff on this channel. We do all sorts of just random off the wall stuff on this channel. Of course, the main junkyard content will be on the main channel. But with that, I will let you all go. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Remember to get out there, find yourself an adventure, and maybe, just maybe, you can find an adventure that pays you. We'll see you on the next one. You know what I just realized after I finished filming this? I forgot to deduct what I paid. Now that voltage regulator I actually got for free. That was in a box of other stuff that I bought. I think I paid $10 for the box, but there was like $200 worth of other parts in the box. But let's assume you bought a box and it comes out to you paid an average of 20 cents. Or what did I say earlier? There was a box that had 4 of them that sold for $1 that say 25 cents a piece. So you'd have to knock 25 cents off of the $1.57. And so you'd have to do a little bit of math, and maybe your yard pays different prices. And so I don't know, it's really rough numbers, but still, I think the basic principle remains that you can make a little bit over minimum wage to have fun doing something while you're doing something else anyway. Okay, I'll see you all in the next one, and I will remember to take that into account next time.